Welcome back to Legal Talk with Alina. And I am thrilled to have, as a returning guest and expert, Ryan Conn. Ryan is an accountant, business consultant, and he is partner of CS Business Consulting as well as Shelton and Associate CPA. So Ryan has been on, I've been had the privilege to interview Ryan several times, and every single episode has been such a learning event for me. And Ryan, I just want to jump right into our subject. I believe your audience has already gotten to know you, but for those of you who don't, Ryan has such a wealth of a background, retired police officer, worked on the SWAT team, and now is a business consultant extraordinaire, helping small to medium-sized businesses navigate not only growth, business or team building, but also how to really get that strategic plan to up level. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you for having me again. The pleasure is absolutely mine. Thank you.
So Ryan, we've had some fun talking about some subjects, but there's something that I think is coming up more and more, and especially with the advantages of technology, AI, and honestly, these younger generations of entrepreneurs with their innovation. And there's a lot like I'll use my niece's boyfriend. He created an app and an intellectual property. And I was thinking, well, how does a business go about protecting their intellectual property so that someone else doesn't just steal it and take the credit for it?
I love this question, and believe it or not, it's one that we deal with quite regularly as we help, small and medium-sized businesses, high net worth individuals. They're constantly looking to improve and grow and create something new. It's a little bit rare to have a truly innovative and purely unique idea these days. Most things and concepts are borrowed from others, but a lot of times a process, an app, a function in itself can definitely be intellectual property. And then, of course, all of your creative things like your brand and stuff like that is definitely IP, intellectual property. So it's essential to safeguard these things as you're building your brand, building your company. Like you said, somebody can literally swoop in and take this idea, this product, or whatever it is, run with it, use their entire bandwidth and network, being a big corporation, and really step on the little guy. One of the things that we tell people to do kind of in these products and services and the developments that they're making, whatever the innovation is, you need to house it underneath that corporation. So if Ryan comes up with this really great idea and I come with this test and this system that walks people through an A to Z solution, well, that's my proprietary intellectual property. And if I just go out there and start wheeling and dealing with people, and somebody likes the idea, takes it to their uncle who owns a big IT company, boom, they create the same process and I have no claim on it. So we tell people to go ahead and house that inside of a company. Go ahead and create, whether it's Ryan Conn LLC or whatever it may be, you go house that inside of a company, and immediately that's your first layer of protection. You have your own LLC, possibly your own EIN for that company, which would be recommended, articles of organization. And now you show that you have a structure and a product that was developed underneath you. So that's really important. So now you have a much better chance of reaping the rewards, the benefits of that product. And if you do notice where somebody now has taken your idea, your product, your brand, you can get with an attorney, file a cease and desist letter with them, and they have to stop that sales, that marketing, until there's an injunction, until something can be filed and resolved. And sometimes it turns into a royalty situation or some type of agreement to where you just make money off of that. And then again, you have a structure in place to do that. So that's one thing that we want to go ahead.
Well, you kind of, and I'm just trying to dial it back because this is just amazing and such. But and you kind of mentioned some of the steps, but what are the first steps a business should do to take to safeguard that intellectual property, like the example you provided?
Sure. So I'll tell you exactly where I was actually a victim of this myself on a very small scale. So I worked with a large corporation as a partner. They hired me as a person to help them develop a product and then sell that product and market it to other people as a user, an achieved user of that product. And in the development phase, I worked with them to create new things. That's their intellectual property versus contract. But then I brought outside things in and said, hey, this is what I'm doing outside with my individual company. this would be appropriate here. And we had that issue. So what I was able to do was go back and point in time. No, this is my product created before the contract, outside of this window, this box, and you guys need to either pay me for this service or you need to cut it out of your service, right? And so that was a friction conversation. But because I had a pinpoint in time, I had a moment in time to show that I began my thought process, I began the creation of this, and I began utilizing it in this timeline. I could go back prior to any of the big boys or somebody swooping in to steal my idea and say, no, 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 I was first.
And so that's amazing because so you were basically able to prove and also enforce your rights to that intellectual property from infringement. What advice do you have to those business owners? Even like, and it's interesting, you said like branding. I never think of my brand as intellectual property, which to come to think of it, it really is. I mean, you have like, just say, like Coco Chanel, Ford, those brands. So how can a business effectively enforce their rights against that infringement? Like what happened to you?
I think that that's great. I think, especially with technology we have today, if you can get some type of system, algorithm, AI is very prevalent and being used all the time to basically monitor your process. And if you can put in some safeguards to monitor your system, to track the potential uses, the downloads, the whatever it may be of your intellectual property, that also creates a trail. And that's very important. Um, those cease and desist letters would be pretty important too. If you can identify, and there's measurements, and some state laws are slightly different than others, but there's general measurements of what has to be the same versus different in order to be declared somebody's unique property or a work product of their own. So I would say monitor your product, use some type of system. Like, I do a lot of ebooks that have my little 1, 2, 3 solutions in them, and that's a piece of the puzzle. But if I were to see somebody start marketing and using one of my systems from that ebook, I have that tracked on downloads. So I can say, hey, here's the 100, 200, 2,000 people that have downloaded my ebook. Yes, that is one of the people. Yes, they're using my product. And then I could send one of those letters from an attorney saying cease and desist. We need to go ahead and we need to check this. This kind of stuff happens in the app industry all the time, happens in the clothing and retail industries. So there's a lot of examples, or even in small tech firms, where these ideas are being stolen. And without a trail, without a methodology for you to track where your product is going, you might end up a little bit short in really getting able to claw back your defenses.
So let's just use a scenario. So you have one of your clients comes to you and says, I believe that one of my proprietary interests is being infringed on, or someone's really using it. They just tweaked it a little bit here, but you can tell that it is my system. Like say, for instance, like your ebook with you have a specific steps that we've gone through. How do you counsel your client? What services do you provide, or who do you bring in to be part of the team to assist them in and being able to take back control of their intellectual property?
That is great. So what we do is we have a relationship with two different corporate attorneys. One of them's corporate tax, and one of them's generally corporate business contracts, buy-sell agreements. The more traditional what people would think of corporate attorney. And so we are often people's first step. Hey, I've got this situation go on, because we run high relationship consultation, high relationship tax planning. So people come in here and say, hey, I've got this problem. I'm not making money because this knucklehead over here is stealing my stuff. So we start the process. I do a little bit of my detective background and say, hey, let's do some investigating first. Let's find out how much they're using. Can you prove this? And we do a little bit of problem solving investigating. Now, since I cannot personally practice law, nor can my firm, I then have to go grab that corporate attorney. I grab that lawyer, and we book a meeting together, using my law enforcement background with how to articulate things properly for court, making sure that there's reasonable suspicions, probable causes, preponderances of evidences, the totality of circumstances. I start applying this language to their situation, helping them draw that to the surface. Now, again, I can't practice law for them, but I can really kick that ball downfield and get them a big head start so they can start protecting themselves, contact these people, get the system of attorneys in place, and get themselves protected.
Well, and I think that that's the huge benefit that your firm, your firms, I should say, really provides to your clientele is that you have that team. It may not be an in-house lawyer, but you bring in the experts that will best support and provide the services for your clientele. But you have such a unique background that it's not just accounting services, not just like forensic accounting. You actually have an investigative background that assists the clients in ensuring not only are their intellectual property protected, but also if they are going, hey, I have this great idea, you can say, well, wait a minute, let's make sure you're not infringing on someone else's property. And I just love this. This is why you always amaze me, because your broad-based background and experience in this. And so, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. So this kind of reminds me of the United States Postal Service used to have a brand. It is not the current brand of the eagle. They used to have a different eagle. And one of the employees, a postal worker, realized they never patented and registered that trademark. And he was able to take that brand. And until imagine, he became a multi-millionaire based on that. So that's some of the other protections you have to ensure. But I really appreciate this. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. We will be back with Sean, and we're going to, with Ryan, excuse me. And we will be back to talk about some modern workplace employment law and what to look for, especially with changes that may be occurring in 2025. Tune right back in.